My wife is a well-known icy beauty entrepreneur in Miss City, and I'm just her contract husband, a tool she uses to fend off romances. My biggest strength is self-awareness. I'm very clear about my place. She's my wife in name, but actually my boss. I never swagger about being the CEO's husband. Being the best employee is my pursuit. Sophia is very satisfied with my performance. So my little life has been smooth sailing. Until one year, when someone's return to the country shattered my peaceful life, and everything began to change. I still remember a year ago, fresh out as a new lackey, just left campus. A graduate from an ordinary second-tier college hardly counts as high quality. After all, I have this handsome exterior, but not much real substance inside. I interviewed at many companies, but no one wanted me. Although I knew most interviews were just HR ticking boxes for KPIs, I couldn't give up any chance. A poor kid at the bottom has no choice but to struggle desperately. One afternoon, cicadas were calling summer on the oak by the main road, and after another blow, I stumbled out of a building in a daze. Riding a shared bike back to the basement I rented, I accidentally scraped a luxury car parked by the road. My scalp prickled, damn. I was barely managing my meals, and now I put a big scratch on someone's luxury car. How much would the repair cost? Looks like I was going to lose a kidney today. A cool, elegant beauty got out of the car. Seeing the owner step out, I was so nervous I could barely speak. I said, "Sorry, ma'am. I didn't notice I scraped your car just now. I didn't mean to. I'm not trying to shirk responsibility. I'll pay for the repairs." "Oh, you'll pay." "Why, yes. But I don't have any money right now, and I don't have a job. Could why you give me some days, or let me pay in installments? I'm not running away. I can sign an IOU and even leave my ID with you. The address on my ID is my hometown. If I run, there's nowhere to hide." The beauty listened with interest and didn't interrupt. When I finished, she spoke softly. "A recent graduate?" "Yes." "Still haven't found a job?" Yes." "Scraping the car isn't entirely your fault. I was parked illegally, so you don't need to pay for repairs. But I have a job opening here that you might be interested in. Want to talk somewhere nearby?" "Huh? A job? A pie falling out of the sky? Could something this good happen to me? Must be a scam." But with a wallet emptier than my face, am I going to be afraid of being scammed? Even if I applied for a loan, the bank wouldn't approve me. As long as I don't go to some remote place, they can't drag me to an overseas scam ring. I'll do it. What if there really is a good job waiting for me? Where shall we talk?" The woman glanced around and then pointed to a quiet cafe. We found a corner with no one around. After ordering 2 coffees, she finally talked to me about the job. "Could you do a self-introduction?" Sure. "My name is Ethan. I'm 22, graduated from XX Institute of Technology." I instantly shifted into interview mode. The woman listened seriously to my introduction. When I finished, she didn't ask about my studies or technical skills. Instead, she asked, "You don't have any health issues, right? Especially infectious diseases?" No. I already had a medical exam in advance. "Here's my physical report. Please take a look." She didn't take the papers I handed over. "No need. I trust you. Let me introduce myself, too. My name is Sophia. I'm the CEO of a company, a few years older than you. Healthy, no infectious diseases or hidden illnesses, so don't worry. The job I mentioned earlier isn't really a job in the usual sense. I need a nominal husband to help me deal with family pressure and the awful suitors outside. I think you're attractive. Would you consider it?" "Who husband?" "Yes, a contract husband. We'll sign an agreement for 5 years. I'll give you $30,000 a month spending money, and when the contract ends, I'll give you $5 million as a breakup fee. Of course, you can terminate early, but then there's no breakup fee." After Sophia finished, she saw me staring in shock and frowned. "What? You don't believe me?" I hurriedly snapped back to reality and secretly opened my star-grained phone under the table, its screen spiderwebbed with cracks, and searched for Sophia. CEO of the Taylor Group. It's her, no doubt. Then I started thinking about Sophia's proposal. A contract husband? I've just graduated and I'm supposed to get married? No, that's wrong. This is a generous sugar patron handing me an enormous pie. After struggling for so long, Finally, a well-paid job has fallen into my lap. $30,000 a month, and even if I get laid off after 5 years of a $5 million severance, what multiplier is that? This is 100N. Throughout history and across the world, where else can you find such an enticing job? I'll do it. I believe you. I trust you. So you agree? Yes, I agree. When do I start? Sophia looked at me speechlessly, then said after a moment, do you have your ID and household register? In my rented room. Okay, prepare your ID, household register, contact number, and address for me tomorrow. I'll come see you tomorrow. We'll sign the contract first and then go straight to the marriage registration office to get the certificate. We still have to get the certificate? Of course. If we're putting on a show, we have to do the whole thing. Without a certificate, there's no credibility. Fine, for $5 million. No, $6.8 million. It's worth becoming a remarried man. The next day, we signed the contract. Not gonna lie, the contract was pretty formal, with over 100 clauses. I checked the front part carefully and skimmed the rest. After signing, we went straight to the marriage registration office to get the certificate. Then Sophia took me to her villa. When arranging rooms, I obediently chose a servant's room. But even that servant's room was 34 square meters, had good lighting, and was 1,000 times better than my dark, damp little place. The boss would surely be pleased by my self-awareness. And so I became Sophia's contract husband. Publicly, we were an exceptionally loving couple. Privately, she was my most esteemed boss, my patron. As someone who often drifts through short stories on Blueberry, I have a clear sense of my place. I'm a worker. The biggest taboo of a contract marriage is harboring unrealistic fantasies and developing feelings for the patron. Whatever your status and hers, we don't match. No romance. Only love for money is my creed. Food, drink, and fun are all covered. Plus living in a big villa. This heavenly life is not to be traded even with immortals. Since moving from the basement to the villa, everything tastes better and my health is great. My sleep is amazing, almost instant. I love it here. East wind, south wind, blank pong. In the villa's game room, I was playing mahjong with the butler Arthur, the chef Michael, and the new nanny Emma. I've worked as a nanny for several wealthy families before, but I've never met anyone as down-to-earth as Mr. Ethan. Emma said to me while sorting her tiles, Yes, Mr. Ethan is not only handsome and polite, he treats us servants with respect. People like him are rare. Oh, Ms. Emma, Mr. Michael, don't praise me so much. You're not servants, and I'm not a mister. We're all employees, just different jobs. Besides having a higher salary, I'm no different from you. Arthur, standing nearby, didn't quite agree. Look, our Mr. Ethan is not only friendly, but also jokes around. By the way, speaking of salary, Ms. Emma, Mr. Michael, how much do you two make per month? Mr. Arthur, you arrived earliest. Haven't you forgotten Miss Sophia's rule? Salaries are confidential and not to be disclosed. Emma tossed out a tile as she spoke. 50,000. Michael glanced over, reluctantly put his tiles back, then drew one from his wall and tossed it onto the table. 60,000. Then Emma and Michael both turned to stare at Arthur meaningfully. Arthur, a little embarrassed under their gaze, threw down a tile too. 90,000. Mr. Ethan, it's your turn, the three of them said in unison, looking at me. My face flushed, reddened by the 3 mahjong tiles. Maybe my palms were sweaty. One tile I had been holding tightly slipped from my hand. Oh, 30,000, huh? Mom, I swear I'll never play mahjong again. There are bad people in the crowd. Boo-hoo, I gave up trying. My ambition to be employee of the month was shattered by those 3 mahjong tiles. There are 5 people in the villa. I thought I was on the 4th tier, but it turned out I was on the 18th basement level. I felt all my hard work over the past months had been for nothing. Now I'm just a deadbeat, living to eat and die. The only comfort is that $5 million in compensation. I have to say, slacking off is a pleasant life. No need to care about the boss's moods. Eat and drink every day. Go for runs, play chess, play games, go fishing. The days are blissful. Sophia seemed to notice this change in me. but she didn't say anything. Except for necessary occasions where we had to appear together, she wouldn't bother me. Yes, this is the life I want. One night, I got so worked up reading short stories that my blood pressure rose. Do you people really have to put on that green hat? You were simps before. After being cheated on, you're supposed to man up instantly? I don't buy it. Ordinary people might be unable to retaliate, but what is wrong with you domineering CEOs? Do you all have some strange kink? It wasn't until 3 in the morning that I finally calmed down. I woke up after 10 the next morning. I had just finished washing and changing when Arthur hurried over to me. Mr. Ethan, Miss Sophia has scheduled your medical checkup for today. I'll take you to the hospital. A checkup? I just had one last month. The results showed nothing wrong. Why another checkup? Miss Sophia said the hospital last month did a 2 cursory examination. So, this time she found a more upscale private hospital to give you a checkup. I pulled an all-nighter last night. That won't affect anything. All right then, I'm actually fasting right now. No way, Mr. Arthur, this hospital is way too meticulous. They drew 5 big tubes of my blood. How many delicacies will I need to eat to make that up? Mr. Ethan, what would you like to eat? I'll arrange it. No need, it's already noon. Mr. Michael should have finished cooking. Let's just go home to eat. No, Mr. Ethan, Miss Sophia instructed me. She said that these days, whatever you want to eat, drink, or do, I must fulfill it and make sure you stay in a good mood. HM, this sounds like the doctor telling me to eat whatever I want. Mr. Arthur, don't hide it. What disease do I have? How many months do I have left? Just tell me, I can handle it. No, there really isn't. Then what is Miss Sophia up to? Mr. Ethan, isn't it only natural that Miss Sophia cares about you? Huh. Ha. Sophia cares about me? Natural? That question should go to a famous local talk show host. Over the next few days, Arthur and Emma's attitude toward me changed drastically. They indulged and fawned over me, which made me very uncomfortable. One day I caught Arthur and asked him, Mr. Arthur, what's up with you these past few days? You're being so cautious with me. We used to get along so well. Why did your attitude change so much after my checkup? Can we go back to how it was? Mr. Ethan, this is all Miss Sophia's instruction. She's very concerned about you and told us to take good care of you. If you're even a little uncomfortable, she'll question us. If she really cared about me, she wouldn't do this nonsense. She'd just give me a raise. That would cheer me up immediately. I muttered quietly. What did you say? Oh, I meant that the way you are now makes me uncomfortable. It was much better when we were friends like before. Oh, I get it. That, Ethan, there's nothing for you to do here anymore. You can go about your business. I flipped Arthur off. If you want to learn the local face-changing opera, he'd surely fail. That face change was so stiff, not smooth at all. I didn't know what our gorgeous CEO was up to, but I didn't take it to heart. Being moody is a required skill for every boss, and us lower-level cattle can only treat it with equanimity. My days stayed the same as before, running, gaming, fishing. One noon after fishing, I packed up my rod, grabbed a fish basket, and strolled back to the villa. Don't look, the basket was clean and empty. The title of Air Force Commander isn't something you blow about. Back at the villa, I was about to greet Arthur when I suddenly noticed Sophia sitting on the living room sofa. Unprecedented. This was very, very odd. Sophia is a workaholic. Though she rarely spends nights away, she stays at the office until after 10 and is gone before 8 in the morning. Once we went a month without seeing each other. It's rare to see her home in the middle of the day like this. Not knowing what was up, I quickened my steps to greet her. Miss Sophia, you're back. You must have something to do at noon. I'll leave you to it and won't bother you. Saying that, I was about to retreat to my room. Wait, Ethan. Oh, I'm here, Miss Sophia. What can I do for you? Let me introduce someone first. This is Mr. Lucas beside me. Lucas, this is my husband, Ethan. Only after Sophia finished speaking did I notice the man beside her. He was thin and pale. Yeah, he looked sick at glance. But why was Sophia introducing me to him? He gave off a strong vibe of being broken. Could he be the same sex type? Sophia must be asking him a favor and trying to hand me over for him to toy with. No wonder she'd been paying so much attention to me lately. So she was trying to sell me. No way. I refuse. I'm not into guys. If Miss Sophia really cares about him, then send him to some bustling city. He'd thrive there. Though I felt resistant inside, I still observed the proper manners. I stepped in front of Lucas and bowed before he reached out his hand. So you're Mr. Lucas. It's an honor. And wait, that sounded oddly foreign. Oh, Mr. Ethan, you'd heard of me before? No, not really. Lucas awkwardly rubbed his nose. Ahem, but Sophia broke the awkwardness with her voice. Ethan, ever since you've worked for me, haven't I treated you well? Indeed, although I felt a bit unbalanced knowing my salary was still lower than Emma's. From another perspective, as a fresh grad who knew nothing, getting a job with a $30,000 monthly salary beat 95% of my peers, plus room and board, light work, no overtime. So by that measure, Sophia had indeed been excellent to me. Of course, Miss Sophia has been wonderful to me. Actually, Lucas is my neighbor. We grew up together. He went abroad for university and stayed there after graduating, picking up very advanced floor management ideas. Recently, he joined my company to help push the business forward. Oh, I understand, Miss Sophia. I'll make space for Mr. Lucas. Say the word, and I'll go with you to the marriage registry to get the divorce papers. Ethan, you really want to divorce me that easily? No, of course I can't bear to. Of course, because of the $30,000 monthly salary. It's just I'm worried you and Mr. Lucas don't overthink it. At most we're childhood friends, nothing more between us. No, actually it's him, he's ill. Me? Lucas, looking speechless, still continued. Mr. Ethan, although I very much like, Lucas turned to look at Sophia's face, which was about to freeze over, and hurriedly changed course. Miss Sophia is right. I am sick. It's like this, Ethan. Lucas returned to the country not long ago and was diagnosed with leukemia. His family members are not compatible donors. I realized you two both have the rare Rh-negative blood type. So during a physical exam, we did a tissue match and found you're fully compatible. So we hope you can help Lucas. Maybe she saw my hesitation. Lucas will offer you $10 million in compensation. Help. Of course I'll help. Being helpful is a local, traditional virtue. Saving a life is greater than building 7-level pagodas. As for the money, I said, tugging at my pocket. Really? You agree? Thank you so much, Mr. Ethan. No problem. My thumb and forefinger kept rubbing together. Seeing that I was persuaded, Sophia's bright eyes curved into a smile. I froze for a second, then hurriedly looked over at Lucas. The boss might be as beautiful as a goddess, but she's not someone people like us could covet. The walking $10 million looked far more reassuring. Ethan, take care of yourself. Lucas and I will coordinate with the hospital. After watching the two of them leave, I went back to my little room and lay down. A few days of weakness buff in exchange for $10 million in cash. Worth it. Besides, I wasn't leading any raids anyway. The following days were a bit boring. With Arthur and Emma watching over me in the villa, a lot was off limits. I could only quietly be a handsome man. To stop me from going fishing, Michael even confiscated my fishing gear, saying he was afraid I'd drown while fishing. If you're just jealous of my gear, say it. I'm the commander of the Air Force. I won't fall into a river. So when Arthur and the others weren't paying attention, I sneaked out of the villa and wandered around downtown. It was kind of dull. Clothes? Sophia had arranged them all. The villa had a dedicated walk-in closet full of designer clothes. Food. Michael, a Michelin 3-star chef, cooked exactly to my taste. Video games? For someone as manly as me, I got slaughtered by an 8-year-old kid. If I hadn't pulled his stool away at the last moment, I definitely wouldn't have shown that classic, knowing laugh. After aimlessly wandering for a while, I looked up, and it was still that quiet little coffee shop. It's been over a year, and you still haven't closed? You're surprisingly resilient. Since fate has brought us together, I'll spend a few bucks on you. I ordered a coffee and sat in a somewhat familiar corner. 10 minutes later, the coffee was served. I sipped it. This flavor isn't even as good as that special herbal drink. Not wanting to waste it, I finished the cup in one gulp. Just as I was about to get up, I heard voices from the back seat. Who knows what kind of love potion that pretty boy fed Sophia? Sophia just refuses to divorce him. If she won't divorce, don't blame me for using some methods. Sophia, my boss? Pretty boy. Are they talking about me? I took out a mirror to look at my face. Yeah, it's pretty striking. Pretty white, even. So, your method is to pretend to be sick? What's the use? Of course it works. I'd already found out that the pretty boy has the rare Rh-negative blood type, so I tricked Sophia into thinking I was also Rh-negative, then told her rare blood types are easy to find matches for. Sophia believed me, and under the pretext of a physical, got a blood sample from that pretty boy. Later, I bribed the doctor and tampered with the matching tests. The results showed we were a perfect match, so Sophia took me to ask the pretty boy to donate bone marrow. At first, he didn't want to, but when he heard I'd give him $10 million in compensation, he immediately agreed. A man blinded by money. Apart from that face, he's nowhere near worthy of Sophia. What the Lucas? His leukemia was fake, and it was all a scheme aimed at me? But donating bone marrow isn't risky for him, right? True, I thought so too. Donating bone marrow isn't risky, but what if a medical accident happens? Hiv. Damn, Lucas, you really are ruthless. So you bribed more than one doctor? Of course. How much did this setup cost you in total? $30 million. You gotta be kidding me. $30 million? Give me that, and I'll drag Sophia to divorce right away. Even Jesus couldn't stop me. Do I even need you to set this up? No. You put your entire fortune into setting up this scheme. As long as I can marry Sophia, a mere $30 million is nothing to me. Then why not get a Dean truck? A few $100,000 would do it. Oh, your friend makes a point. Why not arrange a Dayun for me? Afraid I'll be reborn? No, that's too easy for Sophia to notice. What? A traffic accident would tip off Sophia, but a medical mishap wouldn't be discovered? You call yourself someone who's studied abroad. What a turtle you are. Although Lucas's setup was full of holes, I still had to respond with everything I had. After all, it was a matter of my life and assets. That night I knocked on Sophia's bedroom door. When I told her what I'd heard, she looked utterly incredulous. Impossible. Lucas and I have been childhood friends. He wouldn't lie to me. Ethan, are you scared? Donating bone marrow isn't risky at all, and you could get $10 million. $10 million is tempting, but he wants me dead. I'm not donating my marrow under any circumstances. No, I've already arranged it. You can't back out over an unfounded rumor. Huh. Unfounded rumor. So you don't believe me, Miss Sophia? No. I won't let anything happen to you. Do you trust me? There was a pleading look in Sophia's eyes. Of course, Lucas is her childhood friend, and I'm just a tool. Suffering a little for their childhood bond is what I deserve. I stared into her eyes and stayed silent for a long time. Lucas's plan was riddled with flaws. I didn't believe she had no doubts. Maybe she simply didn't care whether I lived or died, or maybe she had her own agenda. I didn't know whether to trust her. $50 million, a voluntary gift, right now. Okay. Sophia's voice quivered slightly, but none of it had anything to do with me. After the money landed, that night, I transferred all my savings to my parents' account. I've lived a pretty free life. I had few regrets, except that I was still a virgin. Today I was betting my life on this. Even if I lost, at least my family would get $50 million. Not a bad deal. Maybe even a little profit. Finally, the day of Lucas's surgery arrived. Lucas and I were pushed into the operating room one after the other. I was given anesthesia before the operation. Wait, isn't peripheral blood stem cell donation with mobilization drugs the mainstream method now? Why give me an anesthetic? Did I lose the bet? Before I could think further, I drifted into unconsciousness. I woke up the next day. Aside from discomfort from the anesthesia, I felt no other abnormality. Sophia sat by the bedside. Her usually smooth, silky hair was a bit disheveled, and her pretty big eyes had dark circles, looking as if she hadn't slept all night. "Ethan, you're awake," Sophia said eagerly. "Miss Sophia." My tone was cold and distant. "Ethan, you should rest. My company has some matters to handle. I won't disturb you." After saying that, Sophia practically fled the ward. I checked my body. No pain, no fatigue. This didn't look like someone who had donated bone marrow. Apparently, Sophia did have another plan, and she had succeeded. While the nurse came to check on me, I quietly pried and learned something. Lucas HLA and I were completely incompatible. Lucas had bribed the lab doctor to make a fake report. Sophia, worried that Lucas's doctor wasn't professional enough, had prearranged an all-star medical team and took full control of the operation before we entered the OR. The surgery started smoothly. Lucas's hematopoietic stem cells were totally destroyed, but when they were about to harvest my bone marrow, a careful specialist noticed problems with the identification report. The operation was halted for retesting. In the end, Lucas's plot to harm me was exposed. I knew this was Sophia's plan. She hadn't broken her word. Not only was I unharmed, I also got $50 million. No loss, a big gain. But whenever I saw Sophia after that, I felt awkward in my chest. She's the boss, what could I do? I avoided her, of course. Maybe my lazy lifestyle piqued her interest, though she stopped working overtime and often sat on the living room sofa watching me, which made me uncomfortable. After the dust settled, I returned to my idle days, feeding horses, chopping wood, traveling the world. Wait, no horses, so no feeding. Gas means no wood, and the boss wouldn't allow world travel anyway. Since the Lucas incident, I've had a bad premonition. Life probably wouldn't be peaceful. Sure enough, one morning I slept past 10, as usual. Just after washing up, Arthur sidled over with that smug look. "Mr. Ethan, Miss Sophia told me to take you for another checkup." "Great, same formula, same old tune." "Mr. Arthur, let's just draw blood. I've had chest x-rays twice this year already. Keep taking them and you'll find me a cancer. Besides, I don't want my hemorrhoids checked a third time." Arthur pondered for a moment. "Fine, we'll only draw blood once we get to the hospital." Then Arthur and two burly bodyguards bundled me into the car. "Mr. Arthur, can you tell me who this is for and what illness it is?" "Supposedly Mr. Oliver, Miss Sophia's white moonlight," Arthur said. As for the disease, he glanced at my waist. "Uremia." So this time Sophia had set her sights on my kidneys. "Mrs. Sophia, there are millions of kidneys in the world. Why must you fixate on mine too?" I glanced back at the Taylor family villa behind me, which looked like a palace, as if four big characters floated above it. Overseas Safe House Branch. No way. I had to get out of here, but the two bodyguards sat on either side of me. I was squeezed into the back like a chick. How could I run? "Mr. Arthur, can I refuse?" "Mr. Ethan, what do you think?" Arthur said, pointing at the two guards. At that moment, I wanted to slap myself. For coveting a $30,000 monthly salary, for eyeing a $5 million severance package. Look where that got me. Losing my kidneys. Why is my life so miserable? While this time, it was efficient without all the fluff. They swarmed me to the lab for blood draws. After they took several big tubes, I was dumped back into the Taylor villa, where they thoughtfully assigned a few bodyguards. Fine, there's no escaping now. 3 days later, I was brought before Sophia. Huh. She was alone this time. No white moonlight, so the match must have failed. I let out a quiet sigh of relief. "Ethan, you should know something this time, right?" "Sophia, you mean what?" "Olivier, he's a special person to me, but he has uremia now." "Oh, Noah. Miss Sophia, my condolences. He's the one with uremia. What am I mourning for?" "So, the other day, when they drew your blood to do the matching with him, you matched with him too." I spit. "What the hell? I'm a universal charger. I match with anyone. So you've got your eye on my kidney too?" "Ethan, I know this is unfair to you. I'll compensate you." And I asked the doctors. They all said losing one kidney has no effect on the body. Don't listen to their crap. That's because the kidney isn't being taken from them. If they had their kidneys dug out, do you think they'd still say it has no effect? They're all experts. What they say is credible. Fine, you trust them and don't trust me, whatever. But you should trust your dad, right? Go cut one of your dad George's kidneys out. Then ask him, or ask your mom Mary Taylor, whether losing one kidney affects the body. If you're willing to donate, you can set any conditions. I wouldn't donate under any conditions. If I actually donated, my happiness for the rest of my life would be ruined. You're my husband, and you won't do this little favor for me? What kind of husband am I to you? If you really thought I was your husband, would you have me donate a kidney to your white moonlight? Too many romance shorts have you brainwashed. In any case, I won't donate. Not only will I not donate this kidney, I'm divorcing you. Screw your compensation. I don't want it. Oh, our contract still has more than 3 years left. Are you sure you want a divorce? Divorce now? If I don't divorce, then I'm a dog. All right, as you say. Then Sophia opened the drawer and found the contract we had signed before. She pointed to the last clause and said, "Read it out. Read it to me." Clause 115. During the contract period, if either party breaches the contract, they must pay the non-breaching party damages of $1 billion US. Finished? Now I'll tell you. If you agree to donate a kidney, I'll give you $1 billion. If you don't agree and also want a divorce, you'll owe me $1 billion. What do you think you should do? So hard to choose, huh? Why are you silent? Still want a divorce? Woof, woof, woof. Ethan, don't worry. I did my homework. I gathered a lot of information online and consulted many experts. Everyone said that although we have 2 kidneys, only one is functioning, so losing one doesn't really affect the body. Bullshit experts. Dual core to single core. How could performance not drop? Can your single core run like a dual core? If Big Mouth finds out, won't he blow it up to the sky? What do you mean by that? I mean, you're going to ruin my lower half happiness. Donating a kidney will ruin your happiness for the rest of your life. Yes, that sexual part. Hearing this, Sophia's face suddenly flushed. You're talking nonsense. Try me and see if I'm lying. Poor me, I'm still a virgin. Except for my 5th miss, I haven't had anyone else. I'm so cheated. Why? Cheated how? Well, I could give it to you, Sophia said, blushing. No, that'd still be me being cheated. I'm still a chief now. Yuan Yang hasn't been spilled, okay. Who said you'd be cheated? We haven't even tried. How do you know you'd be cheated? Come on, get in the room with me. Huh? You're both childhood friend and white moonlight, and you tell me I'm not a loss? Fine, get in the room. Who's afraid of who? Today I'm going to properly test your true worth. 5 minutes later, Sophia and I stared at each other wide-eyed. Ethan, listen to me. You should just donate that kidney. After all, you can't get any lower. Who are you looking down on? That was just my first time. A bit nervous, okay? Come again, and I'll cut you down a size. That was only the pre-meal dessert. The real meal is coming up next. Extra chapter, I'm Sophia. From a young age, I was naturally beautiful, clever, and confident that my talents would be put to use. After graduating from university, I joined the family business to train, and in just 3 years, I took over my good-for-nothing dad George's position, shouldering responsibility for the Taylor Group. That sentence sounded a bit odd. Whatever, it's not important. What's important is that I'm pretty and rich, so of course a lot of flies buzz around me, which is annoying. Seeing them makes me angry. Although I've dealt with a lot of trash, my good mood is ruined, so my reputation as an icy beauty CEO spread. Guys named Brian and Henry alike have all been trodden under my heel. Some bored people even started a bet on who could pick this high mountain flower. Fine for outsiders, but my deadbeat dad even joined in the fuss. Dad, if you have that much free time, work harder with my mom Mary. We should have had a second child long ago. Stop staring at me like that. One afternoon, after handling a little fly and feeling extremely irritated, I snuck out of the company and drove my secretly showy Maybach to wander the streets. Suddenly, a handsome young man in a hurry on the roadside caught my attention. This handsome kid, how was he so much like that little snot-nosed brat? He held a transparent folder that looked like a resume, and soon he went into a building. He must be going to an interview. To check if he was that brat, I parked on the side of the road. Humph, I'll wait here until I die. How did I know the snot-nosed brat? Actually, I didn't really know him. I don't even know his name. He probably forgot me long ago. But his skinny body, trembling legs, and the brick board in his little hands left a deep impression. It was probably 11 or 12 years ago. I was 13 or 14 then, at the most rebellious age, dissatisfied with my family's tight protection and convinced they were invading my freedom. So I slipped out while they weren't paying attention. I took a bus and wandered all over the city, eventually ending up in the suburban fringe. The alleys that were so interesting, a messy maze, so this lady decided to explore. Freedom smelled so sweet. Then I was cornered in a dead end by a few rough-looking boys with dyed hair. That's it. Father, mother, forgive your daughter for not being able to show filial piety at your bedside. Hurry up and have a second child. Just as I despaired, a little boy rushed in holding a brickboard. You bunch of perverts trying to harm someone again. Get lost, scram, or I won't be polite to you. The boy had admirable courage, but could that tiny frame shorter than me actually threaten them? Where did this little brat come from? This isn't your business. Get the hell out. The yellow-haired boys sneered and closed in. Watching the little brat in front of me, legs trembling but refusing to leave, moved me. But kid, you'd better run. The yellow-haired boys hesitated because of the brickboard in the boy's hand and thus advanced slowly. Unexpectedly, the boy suddenly burst into tears and shouted, between sobs, "It's on fire! Help! Somebody, it's on fire!" That trick worked. Hearing fire, many people quickly ran over to watch. Seeing people coming this way, the yellow-haired boys angrily scattered. I was saved. After watching the blonde kids run off, the little boy looked back at me. Maybe he felt a sense of accomplishment. He smiled at me, but because his earlier crying and shouting had been so intense, halfway through his smile, a big snot bubble popped out. The smile didn't disappear, though. It came toward my face. The little snotworm blushed and hurried away. I didn't even have time to say thank you, but his youthful face, the scar on his brow, and that enormous snot bubble were deeply imprinted in my memory. After getting out of danger, I hurried away from that area. What happened at home afterward, getting beaten, is another story. Even though I was lost in thought, I didn't relax my watch at the building's entrance. Within 20 minutes, that guy came out of the building. Wow, you're fast. I originally planned to drive quietly behind him, find his address, and investigate slowly, but who knew he'd ride a shared bike right up to my low-key Maybach. Kid, you practically delivered yourself to me. I got out and looked him over. The scar on his brow was gone, leaving just a thin mark. The face matched. If there were a big snot bubble, yes, it was him. I hadn't expected our little snot worm from 10 years ago to have grown into such a handsome young man. Damn, good looking. Makes me want to eat him, sisters drooling. Before I could speak, the handsome young man said he'd pay me for the car repairs, and he wanted to do it in installments. I also noticed the resume in his hand. A fresh college graduate looking for a job? That gave me an idea. Little brother, I have a job here. Wonder if you'd like it. I led him into a cafe. I thought he might show some pride, but who knew he folded so smoothly? Little brother is quite savvy. Sister loves him even more. That's how I tricked Ethan into becoming my husband. I put him in a villa and spent a fortune hiring the country's most professional butler, the best Michelin chef, and the finest nanny to take care of him. But who knew this guy saw me only as his boss and loved only my money? Taylor Group has tens of thousands of employees. I don't need you. But you love money, and I have money, so that means you love me. Not to scare my handsome guy, I decided to proceed gradually. Meet? Sister will definitely have it, sooner or later. A year after Ethan and I married, Lucas returned to the country, deliberately approaching me under the pretense of being a childhood friend. Do you think I don't know what you're up to? But the resources he brought were tempting. He came with a candy-coated bomb. I decided to eat the candy and then use the bomb to blow him to dust. I didn't expect that momentary greed would cost me so much. After that, Lucas repeatedly implied Ethan wasn't good enough for me and wanted me to dump Ethan and marry him. Who do you think you are? Ethan, my handsome guy, was my peerless hero. Though it disgusted me, to completely consume the White family's resources, I feigned interest in Lucas. Then he came up with a crazy idea. Fake having leukemia, and he kept telling me he was rare Rh-negative blood. I wanted to see what rotten scheme that small brain of his was cooking up. With Lucas's help, Ethan was given another physical exam. The subsequent report showed an extremely high match between Ethan and Lucas. I suspected things were not so simple and had someone investigate. Sure enough, it was fake. That sly bastard Lucas bribed the lab doctor to forge the report and later bribed several other doctors to stage a medical accident during surgery to take Ethan out. What could I do? Of course, I decided to turn the tables. But who would have thought that idiot Lucas would be overheard by Ethan while chatting with someone? Ethan came to see me that very night, but I was just about to strip the White family of their resources, so I hid the truth. That was the gravest mistake I ever made. When Ethan asked me for $50 million, I knew the last sliver of hope he had for me had collapsed. I hurt him. Maybe I'll never win his heart again. I panicked. I wanted to explain, but I held back. I'm an excellent entrepreneur. I have to weigh the benefits. And little brother, sister is earning milk money for our future child. You'll forgive me, right? Even if I can't have your heart, your body won't run away. You love money. I have money and can make more. Are we a match made in heaven? Finally, before Ethan's bone marrow donation surgery, I had wrested all of Lucas's resources into my hands. Lucas, I ate the sugar. Now I should return the cannon shot. So I replaced the doctors Lucas had arranged, claiming they weren't professional enough, and brought in nationally renowned experts. Lucas, you better remember my kindness. Before extracting Ethan's marrow, the specialist team had already destroyed all of Lucas's hematopoietic stem cells. When they were about to draw Ethan's marrow, one expert accidentally discovered an anomaly in the test results, so the operation was paused and retested. It turned out they were completely mismatched. The diligent experts timely prevented a medical accident at a critical moment. See, the experts I hired are reliable. As for Lucas, because his stem cells have been entirely destroyed and he didn't have a fully matched marrow donor. In the end, he had to accept a half-match transplant and would need expensive drugs afterward to suppress rejection. But Lucas, oh Lucas, you still owe me for deceiving me, so I began my revenge. That's reasonable, right? Especially since you broke that little snot-nosed kid's heart. Let the storm rage harder. After the Lucas incident, Ethan grew much colder toward me. I left work on time every day and sat like a beggar on the living room sofa waiting for him. But when he came home, he would only greet me briefly and shut himself in the bedroom, his tone frosty. At dinner, he wouldn't even look my way. Sister's heart felt chilled to the bone. At this rate, when will I get to eat meat? A few days later, the circle was buzzing that my white moonlight had returned to the country. When did I have a white moonlight? I finally probed, and it turned out to be that bitch Oliver. That bastard had been pestering me in college, presuming he could win me over with 2.5 years of practice on his lousy skills. I didn't even acknowledge him, and he had the nerve to spread rumors that I liked him. Did I tolerate that? I immediately wanted to deal with him, but the guy ran abroad, so I had people keep tabs on him, planning to have his legs removed when I had the time. But heavy coursework put paid to that. So me asking about him means I couldn't let him go. The thing is, Oliver doesn't have a brain the size of an almond. He believed a few rumors in the circle and actually started to see himself as my white moonlight. Buddy, didn't anyone tell you about Lucas? But you brought the vegetables to my door. How could I not feed you properly? Maybe the person advising Oliver was the same one. A familiar recipe arrived. Uremia. Oh ho, targeting my Ethan's kidneys? Kidneys, huh? I turned it over my head and a plan formed. So Arthur took Ethan for another checkup. When Ethan heard he needed to donate a kidney, he predictably refused flat out. What else could I do? Spoil him, of course. $1 billion. I'll smash it in your face. What? You say donating a kidney will affect function? Doesn't matter. Sister will take care of you. Oh, you're still a virgin boy. What a pity. I'm a virgin too. Meant to be, right? Come on, into the room. And so neither of us were virgins anymore. You tell me a 23 or 24-year-old lad, full of vigor, besides being strong and having good endurance, what's his other merit? Of course, a short cool-down time. He finally let big sister have her fill. Little brother, what did you say? Still donating a kidney to Oliver? Screw donating to him. I'm keeping mine. I even want to take both his kidneys and hang them from your waist. I really adore your little motor. I naturally arranged a transfer for Ethan to the night shift. Work location? Of course, my bedroom. Kiddo, you only graduated a couple years ago. Just working normal hours doesn't show your enthusiasm, so you have to do overtime. After years of effort, I got Taylor Group back on track. I've been fighting my whole life. Can I enjoy a little? So I often return to the villa during the day too. Boy, I'm an old Chinese medicine practitioner. I see you have a lot of internal heat. What? You want chrysanthemum tea? Then my bun was not tied up for nothing. But Ethan, you hypocrite, saying you don't need my treatment. Yet when you press my head, you show no mercy, and you're twisting my legs into knots. What can sister do but tolerate you? Hee hee, as I expected, I'm an experienced old healer because I found pineapple made it work even better. Years of hard work finally paid off, and I tasted the sweetness. Michael is a clever fellow too. Knowing that Ethan and I shared that bright red apple, he almost every day made us soft-shelled turtle soup. Maca and ginseng also became regulars at the table, and sometimes epimedium showed up in the broth. Hee hee hee, little Ethan, are you full? If you are, it's sister's turn. Life is a mix of sweetness and hardship, but I'm not one to be sentimental. This hardship I can bear, I even hope for more of it. The days that followed were tough, but I enjoyed them. Then some bastard leaked news that my godbrother was returning to the country. Nonsense. I only have little brother Ethan. No godbrother. But Ethan didn't know, and that old fool Arthur actually believed it. He not only failed to keep an eye on my Ethan baby, he let him run off. I'll deal with you when I get back. Ethan baby, don't run. How would your sister live without you? You bodyguards, what are you standing around for? Aren't you going to chase him down for me? George, I've got good news and bad news. Which do you want to hear first? I put down my paintbrush and looked at my friend Frank. He stood at the studio door with a mysterious air, his face a mix of nervousness and excitement. Let's start with the bad news. After all, I've gotten used to it these past 3 years. Your painting, Eternity, just sold for a sky-high price. Over $6 million. I frowned. How is that bad news? Frank chuckled. Because it's actually part of the good news. The bad news is, buddy, you might need to see a psychiatrist. What do you mean? A woman who looks exactly like Mary showed up at your art exhibition. I almost thought I was seeing a ghost. The paintbrush slipped from my hand and fell to the floor, splattering paint across the unfinished canvas. Mary, my late wife, died 3 years ago after accidentally falling off a cliff. I watched with my own eyes as her body was pulled from the water. In that moment, my world completely collapsed. Stop joking around, Frank. Why would I lie to you? She even left this. Frank handed me a note with an address and a time written on it. My hand trembled slightly. The handwriting was exactly the same as Mary's. That night, I waited until midnight at the designated cafe. Just as I was about to leave, a familiar figure appeared at the door. Mary? No, it couldn't be her. But every gesture of that woman, from the tips of her hair to her fingertips, was a shadow of Mary. George, it's been a long time. She sat across from me, and the familiar voice nearly made my heart stop. Who are you? I struggled to remain calm. I'm Mary, your wife. She smiled and reached out her hand. There was a scar on her palm, the mark Mary got when she accidentally cut herself on glass at 15. Impossible. Mary is already dead. She laughed softly. That was just an accident. I fell off the cliff and was saved by a reclusive old doctor. I lost my memory from the injuries and only recently remembered everything. As she spoke, tears began to fall with an expression I knew all too well, the look Mary wore whenever she felt wronged. I know it's hard to believe, but I really am Mary. I couldn't believe my eyes. The shade of lipstick Mary loved most, the faint little mole beneath her left ear, the unconscious habit of rubbing her ring while speaking. Everything was so familiar. You? Are you really Mary? She nodded and took a small box out of her bag. This is the proof. Inside the box was the first piece of jewelry Mary ever designed. A sapphire ring, the only one of its kind, never mass-produced. I brought it with me that day because I wanted to surprise you. I suddenly stood up and pulled her into my arms. 3 years of longing surged over me like a tide. I held her tightly, afraid that if I let go, she would disappear again. On the way home, She told me about her experiences over the past 3 years. She was rescued by an old doctor in the mountains, lost her memory due to a severe head injury, and lived in a remote mountain village for more than 2 years. It wasn't until she happened to see a poster for my art exhibition that her memory gradually returned. The next day, I took her to see Frank. "Oh my God, it really is you, Mary." Frank stared in astonishment, eyes wide. "Frank, it's been a long time." She greeted him with a smile, exactly as I remembered. Frank pulled me aside and whispered, "Man, this is unbelievable, but I really believe it's her. Who else but Mary could call me by my childhood nickname so accurately? That was something only the two of you knew." A week later, Mary officially returned. We held a small welcome party for her. Her mother was so overwhelmed that she fainted, and when she woke up, she clung to her daughter and refused to let go. But that night, I noticed the first sign that something was off. Mary never ate mangoes because she was severely allergic. Yet the returned Mary absent-mindedly tasted a mango dessert and was perfectly fine. "Aren't you allergic to mangoes?" I asked. She paused for a moment, then quickly laughed and said, "Oh, that old Chinese doctor cured my allergy. He's really amazing." I nodded, but in my heart, I marked the first question mark. Is this really my wife? A month passed quickly, and Mary blended perfectly into our lives. She knew the location of every item in the house, remembered our shared memories, and could even accurately name friends we hadn't contacted in years. But those subtle feelings of discord kept growing. For example, the real Mary liked to listen to classical music, especially Debussy, while designing jewelry. But she would always unconsciously hum along to pop songs. Mary always habitually used her left hand to hold chopsticks, even though she knew it was wrong. She just couldn't change. But she was a standard right-handed user. The most obvious difference appeared that night when I accidentally caught her smoking in the bedroom. The real Mary hated the smell of smoke. Even when I came home from social events with a faint scent of cigarettes, she would frown. "When did you start smoking?" I stood at the doorway, my voice soft. She was clearly startled, hastily snuffing out the cigarette. This is a herbal cigarette for treating insomnia, prescribed by an old Chinese doctor." I nodded, not pressing further, but the doubts in my heart only grew deeper. The next day, I went to find Frank. "Help me check if, in the past 3 years, plastic surgery technology has advanced enough to achieve this level." Frank's eyes widened. "You mean, she's not Mary?" "I'm not sure, but there are always some things that don't add up." 2 days later, Frank brought news. High-end plastic surgery can make faces look similar, but it can't replicate the exact placement of scars or moles. And there's a limit to how well someone can imitate a voice. What if it was a twin? Frank shook his head. "Mary is an only child. We all know that." I decided not to show my feelings for now and to keep observing. A week later, Mary's mother came to my house with astonishing news. "George, Mary is going to have a baby," my mother-in-law told me excitedly. I stood there stunned. Before we got married, Mary had been diagnosed with uterine hypoplasia. The doctor had made it clear she could never get pregnant. This was our shared secret. Not even my mother-in-law knew. How do you know that?" I managed to ask. "Mary told me this morning. She said she already had a checkup. It's been 2 months. My mother-in-law happily grabbed my hand. "It's a blessing from above. Mary survived death, and now she can bring us new life." My heart sank to the bottom. This absolutely could not be Mary. That night, I dug out the hospital's diagnosis certificate in my study, which clearly stated the condition of Mary's uterus. But when I wanted to talk to Mary about it, I found her in the bedroom, excitedly discussing the decoration of the nursery with my mother-in-law. "Mary, could you come here for a moment?" I called her calmly. She followed me into the study, still wearing a blissful smile on her face. "Did you forget about this?" I handed her the diagnosis certificate. She took it and glanced at it, her face instantly turning pale. "George, I can explain." "Explain what?" "Explain that you're not Mary at all." Mother-in-law heard the commotion and walked in. "What's going on with you two?" "Mom, take a look at this." I handed her the proof. My mother-in-law read it, then looked at Mary in astonishment. "What's going on?" "Mary, you can't have children." "Of course she can," I sneered, "because she's not Mary at all." My mother-in-law's face changed dramatically. "What nonsense are you talking about?" "I can explain." She hurriedly grabbed my mother-in-law's hand. "That old Chinese doctor not only saved my life, but also cured my uterine problem. It's a miracle, truly." My mother-in-law looked at me, then at her, hesitating. George, you're being too paranoid. My mother-in-law finally took her daughter's side. Mary has come back with great difficulty. You should cherish her, not doubt her. Yes, George, I know this is hard to accept, but miracles do happen. Tears welled up in her eyes. Haven't we always wanted a child? Now we can finally have our own baby. I looked at her face, identical to Mary's, yet I became more certain in my heart. This woman was not my wife. All right, I believe you. I smiled, deciding to go along with their story for now. Let's wait together for this miracle to happen. That night, I secretly contacted a private detective. My mother-in-law gladly accepted her daughter's explanation, even suggesting she move in with us to take care of Mary during her pregnancy. Outwardly, I agreed, but inside I grew even more wary. This was no coincidence. There had to be some kind of plot. Mom, haven't you always lived in Haicheng? Won't it be hard to get used to living here? I probed cautiously. For my grandson, I'm willing to endure any inconvenience, my mother-in-law said firmly. I noticed a fleeting unnatural expression on Mary's face. Could the truth be connected to my mother-in-law? On the third day after my mother-in-law moved in, I discovered more suspicious details. For example, the real Mary never drank coffee, but she and my mother-in-law often enjoyed it together. Also, Mary's favorite movie was Roman Holiday, but she claimed to prefer Titanic. The strangest thing is, Mary used to despise her cousin Tom when she was alive, but now he visits frequently and chats and laughs with Mary as if they're old friends. I told Frank about these discoveries. Buddy, things are getting more and more suspicious, Frank frowned. Are you sure you want to keep going like this? Why not just expose her directly? It's not the right time yet. I want to find out what they're really after. The private detective's investigation also made progress. The so-called old Chinese doctor who had saved Mary did not exist at all, and Mary's whereabouts over the past 3 years were completely untraceable. More importantly, the private detective uncovered a shocking fact during the investigation. Mary's cousin Tom was deeply in debt from gambling, and the painting Eternity under my name, worth over $6 million, was his only hope for quick cash. They're after your painting, the private detective asserted, and this fake Mary is likely a professional identity fraudster, hired to win your trust. I took a deep breath and decided to take the initiative. That afternoon, I pretended to go out, but secretly returned home and hid in the study. Sure enough, Mary and her cousin Tom were whispering to each other in the living room. It's taking too long, Tom said irritably. How much longer until he sells the painting? Don't worry, she soothed him. I'm already pregnant, and now he completely believes I'm Mary. In a little while, I'll say I want to move to a better neighborhood for the sake of the baby, and then we'll naturally need to sell the painting to raise money. You're really pregnant? That wasn't part of the plan. It was an accident, but it works to our advantage. George wants a child so badly. Does Annie know the truth? She only knows we're trying to scam money, not the specific plan. But she hates George, thinks he caused her daughter's death, so she's more than happy to help. I clenched my fists. So my mother-in-law had always believed that Mary's accident was somehow my fault. In fact, we did argue over something trivial that day, and Mary stormed out in anger. I didn't try to stop her. But I never imagined it would be the last time I'd see her. You don't actually have feelings for George, do you? Tom suddenly asked. She was silent for a moment. It's just part of the job. Besides, I owe you, and I won't go back on my word. Good then. Don't forget how we're splitting the money once we get it. Their conversation confirmed my suspicions. This was all an elaborate scheme, with my eternity as the target. In the days that followed, I pretended everything was normal while secretly making preparations. I contacted the police, arranged for evidence-gathering equipment, and found the last piece Mary had left before she died, a silver necklace that had never been made public, engraved with an anniversary date only the two of us knew. 2 weeks later, my art exhibition was held as scheduled. As planned, Mary brought up the idea of moving, hinting that I could sell Eternity. I pretended to agree and said I would auction the painting on the last day of the exhibition. This is a surprise I prepared for you, I said on the eve of the exhibition, taking out a delicate box. To celebrate the new life we're about to begin. She opened the box in surprise, and inside was the silver necklace. It's beautiful, thank you. She smiled as she prepared to put it on. Wait, I stopped her. Aren't you going to look at the engraving on the back? She turned the necklace over, and her face suddenly went pale. What's wrong? Don't you like it? I asked, feigning ignorance. No, I really like it. It's just, I'm a bit moved. She forced a smile, but didn't know how to explain that she couldn't recognize the significance of that date. See you tomorrow. Get some good rest, and don't forget to wear this necklace. I kissed her forehead and whispered in her ear, after all, this is your final design. Her body visibly stiffened for a moment, but she kept smiling. Of course, I cherish it very much. Tomorrow, the truth will come to light. On the day of the exhibition, the place was packed with people. My painting, Eternity, was displayed in the most prominent spot, right next to the last batch of jewelry designs Mary had created before her death. Mary held my arm, flawlessly playing the role of my wife as always. She had even gone out of her way to wear Mary's favorite white dress and the silver necklace I had given her last night. My mother-in-law and Tom were there too. The three of them exchanged glances from time to time, clearly waiting for the perfect moment. Frank appeared as planned, pretending to be extremely interested in Eternity and asking me about the auction details. The auction will begin promptly at 4 in the afternoon, I replied with a smile. This painting means a great deal to me, and I hope it finds someone who truly appreciates it. Mary immediately chimed in. Yes, although it's hard to part with it, this is a necessary decision for our future. I noticed she glanced at Tom, who gave a barely perceptible nod. At 3:30 in the afternoon, the projector in the center of the exhibition hall lit up. This was the special segment I had arranged. Ladies and gentlemen, I stood in front of Eternity. Before the auction begins, I'd like to share a little story about this painting. Mary's photo appeared on the projection screen, a group picture from her last birthday party before she passed away. 3 years ago, my wife Mary died in an accident. I created this painting, Eternity, in her memory. The woman in the painting has her back to the viewer, forever gazing into the distance, symbolizing a longing I can never reach. A soft sigh rippled through the crowd. Mary stood beside me, matching my words with a sorrowful expression. However, a month ago, a miracle happened. I turned to look at Mary. My wife came back. The whole room erupted in astonishment, and many people curiously sized up Mary. This is my wife, Mary. I took her hand and stepped forward. Back from the dead, it's truly the greatest blessing heaven could have given me. She smiled and nodded to everyone, while my mother-in-law and Tom stood by with smug expressions. However, my tone suddenly shifted. Amidst my joy, a question arose. Is she really Mary? The entire room fell silent. Mary's hand trembled slightly in my palm. So, I did some investigating. The projector switched to a set of comparison photos. On the left was the real Mary. On the right was a photo of her. They look exactly the same, don't they? But I clicked the remote, and the photo was enlarged, the details highlighted. The position of the piercing on the left ear was slightly different, the arch of the eyebrows subtly varied, and the fine lines at the corners of the eyes ran in different directions. These are details that even professional plastic surgery cannot fully replicate. Mary tried to pull her hand away, but I held on tightly. My mother-in-law and Tom also began to grow anxious, glancing toward the exit. More importantly, the real Mary has a feature that cannot be copied. I turned to Mary. The necklace I gave you last night has a date engraved on the back. Can you tell everyone what that date is? She opened her mouth, but no words came out. That was the due date of our first child, the one we lost. I spoke softly, my voice trembling with emotion. Mary designed this necklace to commemorate the baby we never got to meet. The date was our secret, only Mary and I knew. The room fell utterly silent. Mary turned deathly pale, my mother-in-law's eyes widened, and Tom had already started edging toward the door. What surprised me even more, I continued, was that the real Mary could never get pregnant due to an underdeveloped uterus. Yet this, Mary claims she's already 2 months along. I let go of her hand and took a step back. So, who are you really? A flicker of despair flashed in Mary's eyes, but she quickly regained her composure. I am Mary, it's just that old Chinese doctor. The non-existent old Chinese doctor, right? I sneered. Just like the non-existent amnesia, the non-existent miraculous recovery. I turned toward the projection screen. Let's see the truth. The screen played the secretly recorded video of her conversation with Tom, their discussion on how to swindle Eternity, clearly audible. This isn't. She tried to explain, but my mother-in-law had already rushed forward. Who are you really? My mother-in-law screamed. You're not my daughter? Auntie, stop pretending, I said calmly. You know she's not Mary. You just wanted to get back at me, didn't you? My mother-in-law's face turned pale. I didn't know she was going to impersonate Mary. Tom just said he needed help to scam some money. Police. Don't move. Several plainclothes officers emerged from the crowd, blocking Tom as he tried to escape. Amid the chaos, Mary took the opportunity to shove me aside and run toward the exit. I chased after her and caught up in the parking lot. Tell me, who are you really? She finally stopped, turned to face me, tears welling in her eyes. My name is Luna. I'm an actress. Tom found me and said if I helped trick you out of a painting, he'd give me $1 million. I needed the money for my sister's medical treatment. Why did they choose me? Why Mary? She shook her head. I don't know. They gave me a lot of information, photos, videos, even your chat logs. I was just following the script. The police arrived and took her away. I stood where I was, gazing at the distant sky, my heart a tumult of emotions. Back in the exhibition hall, the crowd had already dispersed, leaving only Frank and a few police officers. It's all been cleared up, Frank walked over. Tom owed money to loan sharks and was desperate. Your mother-in-law always resented you for not saving Mary, so she helped them plan the whole thing. I walked up to Eternity, gently caressing the back of the woman in the painting. Mary, I can finally give you an answer. The police left with the evidence. Frank patted me on the shoulder. What do you plan to do next? I took a deep breath. Prepare for the final painting. What will it be called? The Pursuit, I said softly. This time, I'll paint her face, not just her back. After the case was solved, my life seemed to return to where it was 3 years ago. Eternity was temporarily held by the court as crucial evidence. Tom and Luna were arrested for fraud, and my mother-in-law was investigated as an accomplice. The prosecution wants you to testify in court, the officer called to inform me. The trial is scheduled for early next month. I agreed, though I was utterly exhausted inside. After exposing the deception, I thought I would feel the thrill of revenge, but what I felt instead was a profound emptiness. Those days spent with Mary that month had allowed me to feel a trace of warmth in life again, even if that warmth was born of lies. Frank often came to see me, worried I might fall into despair once more. I told him not to worry, that I was working on a new piece, The Pursuit. Are you really going to paint Mary's face from the front? Frank asked curiously. For the past 3 years, you've always refused to do that. It's time, I replied. We can't live in the past forever. I moved out of the apartment I had shared with Mary and returned to the old house in the suburbs, the place where the real Mary and I had first made our home. The dust-laden memories in the house brought me both pain and comfort. Mary's studio remained just as she had left it, design sketches scattered across the table, unfinished jewelry drafts pinned to the drawing board. One afternoon, while sorting through Mary's belongings, I discovered an encrypted external hard drive. After several attempts, I finally unlocked it using our wedding anniversary as the password. Inside were backups of Mary's design works, along with some personal photos and videos. One folder in particular caught my attention. Inside a folder named Plan was a series of jewelry design sketches, labeled George's Birthday Special Project. It was then I remembered that, in the months before Mary passed away, she often spoke mysteriously about giving me an unparalleled birthday surprise. Leafing through these design drafts, I couldn't help but be moved to tears. Mary had planned to design a jewelry collection inspired by my paintings over the years, with each piece corresponding to a representative work from my artistic career. The last page was a sketch of a ring, with a dark red stone set in the center, its edges adorned with tiny diamonds, closely resembling the sunrise in my early work, Dawn. This is blood amber? I examined the notes carefully, confirming the name of this rare gemstone. Mary's designs had always been bold, but blood amber is extremely rare in the Chinese market, almost impossible to acquire. How did she obtain such a material? As I continued searching, I found a series of email correspondence screenshots. Mary had actually contacted a gemstone dealer in Myanmar, commissioning the blood amber specifically for this ring. The last email showed that the gem had already been shipped, but the date was exactly 1 week before Mary's death. I immediately called Frank. Help me check if there was a package sent from Myanmar 3 years ago, addressed to Mary. 2 days later, Frank brought news. The package did exist, but since no one signed for it, it was returned. However, according to the shipping records, it was resent a month ago. this time addressed to you. What? I was completely confused. I haven't received any package. Check your old apartment? Frank suggested. Back at my old apartment, the manager told me there was indeed a package, but it had been signed for by Mary. She said it was a surprise for you, so she didn't notify you, the manager explained. This meant Luna had taken the blood amber. I rushed to the detention center and requested to see Luna. Separated by glass, she looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but still wore that face so similar to Mary's. What are you doing here? She asked coldly. A month ago, you signed for a package from Myanmar. There was a blood amber inside. I want to know where it is. She looked surprised. How did you know? Tom asked me to sign for it. He said it was some precious gem. He took it. My heart sank. Tom was deep in gambling debt. A precious blood amber would be a windfall for him. He had probably sold it long ago. That blood amber is very important to me, I said softly. It was the last gift my wife left me. Luna was silent for a moment, then suddenly said, maybe it's not that bad. Tom said the stone has flaws, its value is greatly reduced, and he hasn't found a suitable buyer yet. Hope was rekindled. If Tom hadn't sold the blood amber yet, maybe there was still a chance to get it back. Do you know where he might hide it? Luna hesitated for a moment. He has a safe deposit box in a self-storage facility on the east side of the city. After getting the address, I immediately contacted the officer in charge of the case and explained the situation. Since Tom was involved in a large sum of money, the police quickly approved the search request. Mr. George, we've found the safe deposit box, the officer said over the phone. Inside, we did find the blood amber you described, as well as some other evidence. A few hours later, I retrieved the blood amber at the police station. It was even more beautiful than I had imagined. Within the dark red core, wisps of mist seemed to swirl, shifting strangely under the light. This was the birthday gift Mary had so carefully chosen for me, waiting for 3 years. Back home, I carefully placed the blood amber beside the canvas of the pursuit. The painting was already more than half finished, Mary's face emerging from the blur into clarity, yet it still felt like something was missing. Watching the blood amber glimmer faintly under the light, I suddenly understood how I should complete the painting. The creation of the pursuit entered its final stage. I decided to break convention and incorporate the blood amber into the artwork. This would not only be a portrait, but a hybrid piece that fused painting with the art of jewelry. Are you sure you want to do this? Frank frowned. That blood amber is priceless. That's exactly why, I said firmly. Mary chose it for me. She wanted to inspire an unparalleled masterpiece. I will fulfill her wish. For 2 whole weeks, I worked day and night, neglecting sleep and food. I cut the blood amber into thin slices and inlaid them at the spot of Mary's eyes on the canvas, making her gaze truly come alive. I used a special technique to blend the surrounding paint, creating a harmonious transition with the gemstone. From certain angles, the entire painting seemed to be imbued with life, and Mary's expression would shift depending on where the viewer stood. On the day I finished the piece, Frank brought news. Luna had been sentenced to 3 years in prison, but due to her good attitude in confessing, she might serve only 1.5 years. Tom, involved in multiple fraud cases, was sentenced to 7 years. My mother-in-law, as an accomplice, received a suspended sentence. The case is finally over, Frank said. Are you planning to exhibit your painting? Yes. Next month there will be a solo exhibition at the National Art Museum, and The Pursuit will be the grand finale. The curator couldn't stop praising this piece, believing it represents the innovative direction of contemporary art and marks the pinnacle of my career. Indeed, this painting, which incorporates Mary's jewelry design concepts, is in some sense a creation we made together. On the eve of the exhibition, I checked the arrangement in the gallery alone one last time, making sure every piece was perfectly lit and positioned. When I reached The Pursuit, I couldn't help but stop and gaze at it. Mary's face was vividly lifelike, her eyes inlaid with blood amber gleaming under the spotlight, as if she were smiling at me. For the first time in 3 years, I faced her directly, no longer painting only her back. Mr. George, a stranger's voice called from behind. Sorry to disturb you, but the gallery has been cleared. He turned around to see a young woman dressed in the museum's staff uniform. And you are? I'm the new curator, responsible for security in your exhibition area, she explained with a smile. I really like your work, especially this piece, The Pursuit. Thank you. I nodded. I'll be leaving soon. She didn't leave, but continued to gaze at the painting. That red gem is beautiful, almost as if it's alive. It's blood amber, I explained, a very rare gemstone. I know, she said softly, top-grade blood amber from Myanmar, containing plant fossils, extremely rare. I looked at her in surprise. You know a lot about jewelry? She smiled. I studied jewelry design. I'm just working part-time here. For some reason, Mary suddenly came to mind. She, too, had an almost obsessive passion for and expertise in gemstones. If you don't mind me asking, who is the woman in this painting? She asked. My wife, I replied. She passed away 3 years ago. She was a jewelry designer. I'm very sorry, she said sincerely, then gestured toward the blood amber. This gem must mean a great deal to you. It was the last birthday gift she chose for me before she died, but I only found it recently. She nodded thoughtfully. Setting it into her portrait is the best way to remember her. For some reason, talking with this unfamiliar woman brought me a strange sense of calm. Perhaps it was her love for jewelry that reminded me of Mary. Sorry, I have to continue my rounds. She glanced at her watch. See you tomorrow, Mr. George. See you tomorrow, I replied, watching her leave. On the way home, I felt an unusual peace. The completion of The Pursuit seemed to mark the end of my search for Mary as well. Not forgetting, but remembering her forever in another way. The next day, the exhibition's opening ceremony attracted numerous figures from the art world and the media. The Pursuit undoubtedly became the center of attention, with people marveling at this innovative form of artistic expression. Amid the crowd, I noticed that curator standing aside, watching as well. Sunlight streamed through the skylight of the gallery, falling upon her, and for a fleeting moment, I thought I saw Mary's shadow. No, I shook my head, warning myself not to be deceived by mere resemblance. There would never be another Mary in this world, just as there would never be another unique blood amber. After the exhibition, The Pursuit was purchased by an anonymous collector for an astronomical price. I donated all the proceeds to a foundation supporting students in jewelry design, establishing a scholarship in Mary's name. Life slowly moved forward, and I began to accept new commissions and create new works. Occasionally, I would think of that curator with a unique insight into jewelry, wondering if she was still working at the art museum. Until one day, I received an email from HL. There were no words, only an image. A sketch of a ring design, the style strikingly similar to Mary's unfinished series. My heart raced as I replied immediately. Who is this? The response came quickly. Yesterday, you brushed past me by the cafe on the street corner, but you didn't recognize me. If you want to know more, wait for me at the museum entrance at noon tomorrow. Is it that librarian? How could she have a design so reminiscent of Mary's style? Filled with anxiety and anticipation, I decided to accept the invitation and find out for myself. The next day at noon, I arrived at the art museum half an hour early. The sun was shining, and small groups of visitors were coming and going from the exhibition hall. But there was no sign of the mysterious person. Just as I began to suspect this might be some kind of prank, a faint trace of perfume drifted by, a scent unfamiliar to me, yet it inexplicably reminded me of Mary. Mr. George, thank you for coming. The voice behind me made me turn around. It was the curator. Today, she wasn't wearing her uniform, but a simple white dress, completely different from Mary's style when she was alive. Did you send the email? I asked directly. She nodded. There are some things I want to tell you, but not here. Will you come with me? We walked through the small park beside the art museum and arrived at a secluded cafe. The whole time, I kept observing her. Her mannerisms, the way she walked, none of it resembled Mary. Yet her sensitivity to detail and her focused attention gave me a strange sense of familiarity. Who are you, really? The moment we sat down, I couldn't wait to ask. My name is Nicole. She looked me straight in the eye. I'm Mary's student. This answer caught me off guard. Mary had indeed taught jewelry design part-time at the Design Academy before she passed away, but she had never mentioned having any particularly close students. I took her advanced design class the year before she passed, Nicole explained. Her guidance benefited me for a lifetime. That still doesn't explain why your designs resemble her style so much, I said, half convinced. Nicole took a folder out of her bag. These are all notes from Ms. Nicole's class and her feedback on my work. You can look at the handwriting and confirm that it's really hers. I carefully examined the materials. It was indeed Mary's handwriting. There were even traces of the pale purple ink she habitually used. Before Ms. Nicole passed away, she was guiding me on my graduation project, Nicole continued. The theme was interwoven light and shadow, blending Eastern and Western aesthetic elements. She gave me a lot of valuable advice, and even showed me a sketch from a private project she was working on at the time. George's special birthday project? I blurted out. Nicole's eyes widened in surprise. You know about it? I only found out recently. I briefly explained the origin of the blood amber. I knew that blood amber would eventually find its way back to you, Nicole said with a smile. Nicole always said it was a destined gift. Is that why you contacted me? Because you saw the blood amber? Nicole was silent for a moment, as if choosing her words carefully. Not entirely. After Nicole passed away, I've been trying to carry on the design philosophy she taught me. Some time ago, I happened to see the news about your eternity being stolen, and then I saw someone impersonating Nicole. I thought I should tell you a few things. She took a letter out of her bag. This is the last letter Nicole gave me after class before she passed away. She said if her surprise plan went smoothly, I should show you this letter. If anything went wrong and she was gone, I should still make sure you see it. I took the envelope. It was indeed Mary's handwriting, and it read, "To my dearest husband." The envelope had already been opened. I didn't know what was in the letter at the time. I just kept it as Nicole instructed, Nicole explained. It wasn't until I saw the news that I opened it. I hope you won't blame me. I carefully took out the letter paper and unfolded it to read. Dear George, if you are reading this letter, perhaps my surprise plan has gone awry. Don't worry, it's just that the plan has changed, and the form of the gift may be different now. The blood amber I picked for you is said to be known as the Eye of Rebirth. Legend has it that looking at the world through it reveals truths that are often overlooked. I hope it can become a turning point in your artistic career, leading you to see new possibilities. All these years, your paintings have always depicted backs, as if you're afraid to face something head-on. I hope this gemstone will give you the courage to paint the front, to capture true emotions. No matter what happens, please remember, love does not disappear, it merely changes form, like this blood amber, which, after millions of years, transforms from resin into a gem, yet still shines. Forever loving you, Mary. The handwriting became a bit messy at the end, as if written in a hurry. I stroked the paper, as if I could feel Mary's emotions at that moment. Thank you, I said, my voice choked with emotion. This means a lot to me. You're welcome. I'm just fulfilling Ms. Nicole's request, Nicole said with a smile. Actually, there's one more thing I'd like to ask your help with. What is it? I'd like to apply for the Mary Scholarship you established, she said, taking a design portfolio out of her bag. This is my graduation project, combining Ms. Nicole's ideas with my own innovations. As I flipped through the portfolio, I was surprised to find that while these designs bore traces of Mary's influence, they also possessed a unique style and innovative touches. In particular, a series called Metamorphosis cleverly combined jewelry with transformable elements, allowing the pieces to change form according to the wearer's mood and occasion. This is outstanding, I praised sincerely. Mary would be proud of you. A hint of joy flashed in Nicole's eyes. Really? I've always worried I couldn't live up to her expectations. You've already moved beyond the learning stage and developed your own style. That's exactly what she hoped to see. As we talked, sunlight streamed through the window and fell on Nicole. In that moment, I seemed to understand something. When Mary spoke of love changing its form, perhaps she wasn't just referring to the blood amber, but also to her passion for art and its legacy. Luna tried to impersonate Mary by mimicking her appearance, but she could never truly replicate who she was. Nicole, on the other hand, looked nothing like Mary, yet she inherited a part of her artistic vision and spirit. Perhaps this is the true gift Mary left me, not the blood amber, but a new possibility, a path out of the past. Nicole's graduation exhibition was held in a small gallery. Though the space was modest, it was exquisitely arranged. Her works were divided into 3 series, representing the past, the present, and the future, forming a complete narrative. This is a brilliant idea, I sincerely praised. From tradition to contemporary and then to the future, it showcases the evolution and possibilities of jewelry design. Nicole smiled and nodded. This was inspired by teacher Nicole. She always says that good design should look back at history, be grounded in the present, and look forward to the future. As I walked through the exhibition hall, I noticed a special display case in the corner, containing only one piece, a seemingly simple ring with a small red gemstone set in the center. This is. I leaned in to read the label, which said, "In memory, dedicated to teacher Mary." Yes, I made it from a small piece of blood amber I bought with my own savings, Nicole explained. It can't compare to the quality of yours, but it's also from Myanmar. I examined the design of the ring closely. Clean, powerful lines with fine silver threads encircling the blood amber, as if protecting the central gem, yet also seeming to radiate light outward. This is very similar to Mary's final design style, I said softly, but it also has your own unique touch. I wanted to create a piece that could both commemorate teacher Nicole and showcase my own style, Nicole explained. The blood amber represents her influence, while the outer design is the direction of my own development. The exhibition attracted quite a few industry insiders, including some well-known figures from the jewelry design world. After viewing the exhibition, an older female designer approached Nicole and offered her an internship opportunity. I stood by, genuinely happy for Nicole. In the evening, as the exhibition was drawing to a close, Frank arrived as well. Seeing me with Nicole, he gave me a knowing smile. "New friend?" he asked me quietly. "Mary's student," I explained simply. "Very talented." Frank nodded without asking further questions. After touring the exhibition, he gave high praise to Nicole's work. It blends traditional and modern elements, demonstrating both technical skill and artistic expression, quite rare. Nicole thanked him politely. This wouldn't have been possible without the guidance of teacher Nicole and teacher George. After the exhibition, the three of us went to a nearby restaurant for dinner. During the meal, Frank talked about recent trends in the art market, while Nicole shared her insights on contemporary jewelry design. The conversation was light and pleasant, and I realized it had been a long time since I had relaxed and chatted with others like this. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank received an urgent call and left early. Only Nicole and I remained in the restaurant, and the atmosphere suddenly became a bit quiet. "Mr. George," Nicole hesitated for a moment before speaking. "I've always had a question I wanted to ask you." "What is it?" "After you finished the pursuit, what are you planning to create next?" The question caught me off guard. To be honest, ever since the pursuit, I haven't had any new inspiration. That painting seemed to have drained all my emotions and creativity. "I haven't decided yet," I answered honestly. "It might take some time to find a new direction." Nicole nodded thoughtfully. Nicole once said that the hardest thing for an artist isn't creating a stunning masterpiece, but finding a way forward after reaching the peak. She really did say that, I recalled with a smile. Mary always saw further than I did. "Maybe," Nicole said softly, "you could try a new direction that combines your work with jewelry design? Like in The Pursuit, but taking it even further." I recalled what Mary mentioned in her letter about seeing new possibilities, and suddenly I was inspired. "You mean creating a series of works that combine painting and jewelry?" "Exactly," Nicole said excitedly. "Your paintings create emotion in two-dimensional space, while jewelry gives it tangible form in the three-dimensional world. The combination of the two would have an astonishing effect." The more we talked, the more engaged we became, even sketching a few concept designs on the restaurant's napkins. Nicole's ideas were fresh and bold, perfectly aligning with my artistic vision, yet bringing a new perspective. As we left the restaurant, Nicole suddenly said, "I have to confess something." I looked at her in confusion. "I reached out to you not only to deliver Nicole's letter, but also for a personal reason. I hope to learn from you," she said candidly. "I want to become a designer like Nicole, someone who not only creates beautiful works but also perfectly blends art with emotion." Her sincerity moved me. "You're already on that path, and you're doing very well." "Then, may I consult you often?" she asked a little nervously. Of course, I'd be delighted. On the way home, a series of new works already began to take shape in my mind. A cross-disciplinary art that fuses painting and jewelry, both as a tribute to Mary and as a new starting point in my artistic career. That night, I had a dream. In the dream, Mary stood in a halo of blood-red light, smiling at me and saying, "See, I knew you would find a new direction." When I woke up, I got out of bed immediately and began sketching for the new series. I decided to name it Rebirth. Not only representing the ancient life forever preserved in blood amber, but also symbolizing the rebirth of my artistic career, as well as the inheritance and development of Mary's artistic vision. A week later, I submitted a new series proposal to the gallery and received an enthusiastic response. The curator even suggested holding a special exhibition themed Between Dimensions, a dialogue between painting and jewelry. For this project, I invited Nicole to join the team as a jewelry design consultant. She had just graduated from design school and was both excited and nervous about the opportunity. "Am I really up to the task?" she asked me in the studio. "You understand Mary's design philosophy better than anyone," I assured her. "That's exactly what I need." In the days that followed, we worked at a feverish pace. We created during the day and discussed at night, sometimes even working through until dawn. Nicole's ideas flowed endlessly, and I transformed those thoughts into concrete artistic expressions. In the process, I rediscovered the pure joy of creation that I hadn't felt in a long time. One late night, when we finally finished the design for our first piece, Nicole clapped her hands excitedly. "This is amazing. Teacher Nicole will definitely love it." At the mention of Mary, she suddenly realized her slip and looked at me nervously. "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to." "It's all right," I said with a smile. "I think Mary really would like it." She always hoped I could step out of my comfort zone and try new ways of expressing myself. Nicole let out a sigh of relief, then hesitantly asked, "Professor George, may I ask you a personal question?" "What is it?" "When you faced the woman impersonating Professor Nicole, how did you see through her? I mean, from the news reports, she seemed like an exact copy of Professor Nicole." I pondered for a moment. Superficial resemblance is easy to achieve, but a true personality cannot be duplicated. Mary's perception of art, her attitude toward life, the way she handled details, these were all unique. Just like a work of art, Nicole mused, no matter how perfect a replica is, it can never capture the soul of the original. Exactly. We worked through the night again, and finally established the overall framework for the Rebirth series. 7 pieces, each blending elements of painting and jewelry, together telling a story of loss and recovery, death and rebirth. As our collaboration deepened, my relationship with Nicole gradually shifted from teacher and student to partners, both mentor and friend. Sometimes, when the light traced the gentle contours of her focused profile, I would unconsciously think of Mary. But soon, I realized that this association wasn't due to any physical resemblance, but rather that same dedication and passion for art. "George, you look much more spirited lately," Frank remarked at a gathering. "It's been a while since I've seen you so full of life." "Yeah, the new project has helped me rediscover the joy of creating." "Nicole's a good girl," Frank said meaningfully. "Talented, and she really understands you." I understood his implication, but just smiled without responding. There was indeed a special understanding between Nicole and me, but it was more rooted in our shared passion for art than anything else. At least for now. The creation of the Rebirth series took 3 months, longer than expected, but the results were stunning. Each piece was a perfect fusion of painting and jewelry art, offering both the pleasure of viewing as a flat image and the discovery of 3-dimensional effects brought by the jewelry elements from different angles. A week before the exhibition opened, I received an unexpected visitor, Luna. She had served her sentence and was released early. She looked much more haggard than the last time we met, but her eyes were clearer. "I came to apologize to you in person." She stood at the studio door, her voice low, "for everything I have done." I didn't respond immediately, but simply invited her in to sit down. "I know that an apology can't make up for the loss," she continued, "but I want you to know that I truly regret it." "How is your sister's illness?" I asked. She looked up in surprise. You know. I guessed. "You said you needed money for a reason, and I think that must have been true." "Yes," she nodded. "My sister's surgery was a success, and now she's fully recovered. For the past 3 years, I've been thinking about how to make up for my mistakes, even though I may never be able to." I was silent for a moment, then said, "You know, in a way, your appearance actually helped me." "What do you mean?" "It forced me to confront the past, to re-examine my memories with Mary, and ultimately to find a way forward." I pointed to the sketches of the Rebirth series on the wall and briefly explained this new project. Luna listened quietly, a look of genuine respect in her eyes. "I'm glad you were able to find a new beginning from that nightmare," she said at last. "I hope I can find my own path to rebirth as well." As she left, she handed me a small package. "These are some simple pieces of jewelry I made in prison. The craftsmanship is rough, but each one represents my remorse and blessings. I hope you can accept them. Opening the package, I found several small trinkets handmade from fine wire and colorful glass beads. Though simple, it was clear the creator had poured their heart into them. Nicole happened to come into the studio at that moment. Seeing the trinkets, she asked curiously, "What are these?" I told her about Luna's visit. "You forgave her?" Nicole was a bit surprised. "Not exactly forgiveness," I said thoughtfully. "It's more like understanding. Everyone has their own hardships and choices. What's important is how we learn and grow from our mistakes." Nicole nodded pensively, picking up a piece of jewelry to examine it closely. "The craftsmanship is rough, but the concept is ingenious. This person seems to have a talent for design." "Perhaps," I said. "Everyone has the possibility of being reborn." On the day of the exhibition opening, numerous figures from the art and jewelry worlds gathered together. The Rebirth series received unprecedented acclaim. Critics called it a model of cross-disciplinary art, and the gallery owner was overjoyed, announcing plans for a nationwide tour. In the crowd, I saw Luna. She was dressed simply, standing quietly in a corner, admiring the exhibits. Our eyes met in the air. She nodded slightly, then walked away. "Who was that?" Nicole asked, standing beside me. "Someone searching for rebirth," I replied. Nicole seemed to understand and asked no more. We stood side by side before the pursuit, watching the blood amber refract a strange light under the lamps, like the silent burning of life's flame. "Thank you," I whispered to Nicole. "Without you, this series might never have come into being." "It was your philosophy that guided us, teacher Nicole," she replied modestly. "I was just fortunate enough to be the messenger." In that moment, I suddenly understood the true meaning of what Mary had written in her letter. Love has changed its form. Love exists not only in memory and longing, but also in inheritance and innovation, shining brightly in every spark of artistic creation. And I, at last, had learned how to begin anew after loss, to embrace rebirth while still searching. The success of the exhibition exceeded everyone's expectations. In just 1 month, the Rebirth series was reported on by major media outlets and even attracted the attention of the international art world. A renowned auction house extended an olive branch to me, hoping to include several pieces in their annual highlight auction. "This is an unprecedented opportunity," Frank said excitedly. "If the deal goes through, you'll become a top player in the contemporary art market." I wasn't particularly concerned with commercial success, but I did feel the joy of having my work widely recognized. More importantly, this series opened up a new artistic path for me, freeing me from the creative shackles of the past 3 years. Nicole benefited as well. As the project's jewelry design consultant, she received high praise from the industry. Several well-known jewelry brands reached out to her, hoping she would join their design teams. "Which offer are you planning to accept?" One night, as we were tidying up the studio together, I asked her. "To be honest, I'm still hesitating." Nicole paused her work. "These are all great opportunities, but..." "But what?" "But I want to keep working with you." She looked straight into my eyes. "Rebirth is just the beginning, isn't it?" Her candor surprised me a little. Indeed, the success of this series had opened up many new creative possibilities for us, but I wasn't sure if I should continue such a close working relationship. "You should consider your own career development," I said tactfully. "These opportunities are very rare for young designers." Nicole seemed to sense my hesitation and nodded gently. "I understand." In the days that followed, we were both busy and rarely had the chance to talk alone. A week later, Nicole told me she had decided to accept an invitation from a French jewelry brand and would be going to Paris to work for 2 years. "Congratulations," I said sincerely. "It's a very good choice." "Thank you," she replied with a smile, though a fleeting, elusive emotion flashed in her eyes. "I think this is the best arrangement for both of us." Before Nicole left, we held a small farewell party. Frank, the curator, and a few mutual friends came. The atmosphere was warm, tinged with a hint of sadness. After a few rounds of drinks, Frank found an opportunity to pull me aside. "Are you really going to just let her go like this?" "What do you mean?" I pretended not to understand. "Don't play dumb, man," Frank said bluntly. "You have feelings for her. That's obvious." "That's just professional rapport," I argued. "Is that so?" Frank looked at me meaningfully. "Then why have you been so distracted ever since she decided to go to France?" I was at a loss for words. In fact, these past few days I had indeed felt an inexplicable sense of loss, but I kept telling myself it was only because I had lost an excellent partner. I know what you're worried about. Frank lowered his voice. You feel like you're letting Mary down, don't you? I remained silent. He had touched upon the deepest concern in my heart. Mary has been gone for 3 years now. Frank gently patted my shoulder. She would want you to be happy. After the party ended, I walked Nicole home. The night was tranquil as water, and the city lights flowed around us. Thank you for your help and guidance these past few months. Nicole stopped at the entrance of her apartment building. This experience has meant so much to me. I should be thanking you, I said sincerely. Without you, the Rebirth series would never have been completed. We fell into silence, as if both searching for the right words to say goodbye. My flight is the morning after tomorrow, Nicole finally said. I still have some things to take care of tomorrow. So, this is probably the last time we'll see each other. 2 years will pass quickly. I tried to make my voice sound light. Paris is a beautiful city. You'll like it there. She nodded, a complex emotion flickering in her eyes. Professor George, there's something I've always wanted to tell you, but never found the right opportunity. What is it? I chose to study jewelry design because I saw Nicole's works. She took a deep breath, or more precisely, because I saw the pieces Nicole designed for you. The way she perfectly fused love and art moved me deeply. I didn't know that, I said in surprise. I've always hoped that one day I could be like Nicole, creating art filled with emotion. Nicole continued, her words coming faster, as if afraid she might lose her courage. But now I realize that what I want even more is to create for a specific person, just like Nicole created for you. I understood her implication, and my heart suddenly began to race. Nicole, please don't respond, she gently interrupted me. I just wanted you to know before I leave. No matter how you feel right now, remember that starting over is not a betrayal of the past, but a way of cherishing life. With that, she rose up on her tiptoes and softly kissed my cheek, then quickly turned and walked into the apartment building, leaving me standing alone in the night, my mind in turmoil. After returning home, I tossed and turned, unable to sleep, replaying Nicole's words and that gentle kiss over and over in my mind. Suddenly, I remembered a small box in the study, where Mary's last complete letter was kept, a letter I had found while sorting through her belongings. But at the time, overwhelmed by grief, I never had the courage to open. Now, I finally mustered the courage to walk into the study and retrieve that delicate little box from the depths of the drawer. Inside lay a pale pink letter, bearing Mary's familiar handwriting. Dearest George, by the time you read this letter, you may find yourself at a crossroads in life, hesitating between moving forward or staying where you are. My greatest wish is that you can move bravely through life, as freely as your brush glides across the canvas. Love is not a shackle, but a liberation. Memory is not a burden, but a source of strength. If one day you meet someone who can rekindle the light in your eyes, please don't hesitate because of your longing for me. True love is wishing happiness for the other, even if there is no longer a place for oneself in that happiness. Remember, the days we loved each other were complete, with no need for regrets. And now, it's time to paint a new picture, my beloved. Forever loving you. Mary. Tears blurred my vision. It was as if Mary had foreseen my current situation and had already given me her blessing. She was always like this, always able to see further and more clearly than I could. At that moment, I made up my mind. Early the next morning, I drove straight to Nicole's apartment. Professor George? Nicole opened the door in surprise, clearly not expecting me. I have something to say to you. I looked her straight in the eyes, not as your teacher, but as George. I handed her Mary's letter. Nicole read it carefully, her expression shifting from surprise to being moved, and finally, her eyes grew moist. She truly was an extraordinary woman, Nicole said softly, handing the letter back to me. Yes, she was, I nodded. That's exactly why I believe her words. Nicole, cancel your plans for Paris. Stay and continue our collaboration, will you? Nicole looked at me in shock. Are you serious? I've never been more serious, I said quietly. Rebirth is not just the name of an artwork, it's a possibility in life. Are you willing to explore that possibility with me? Her answer was a firm embrace, warm and real, like the first ray of sunlight after a long winter. In that moment, I felt as if Mary was somewhere, smiling down on us, blessing this new beginning. Life is like that blood amber, enduring countless ages of change and sedimentation, ultimately transforming into an eternal radiance. And I, at last, understood what true pursuit is, what true rebirth means. A year later, Nicole and I unveiled our second joint project, Interwoven, at the National Art Museum. This series was even bolder and more innovative than Rebirth, blending Eastern and Western aesthetics with various art forms. Critics hailed it as a significant breakthrough in contemporary art. At the opening ceremony, Nicole held my arm as we faced the media interviews and congratulations from the audience together. She wore a simple white dress, and around her neck was the Eye of Rebirth necklace we designed together. She completed the jewelry part based on my painting. Your collaboration seems even more in sync than your last project, a reporter asked with a suggestive smile. Nicole glanced at me, and we exchanged a smile. Yes, both in art and in life, we found the perfect balance. This indirect answer drew a round of good-natured laughter from the reporters present. My relationship with Nicole was no longer a secret, but we always kept a low profile, letting the public's attention remain focused on our artistic creations. After the exhibition, we drove out to a small hill in the countryside. There stood an ancient oak tree, beneath which Mary's ashes were laid to rest. This was the place we chose, rather than a traditional cemetery, natural, peaceful, just like Mary herself. Mary, the exhibition was a great success today, I said softly to the stone beneath the tree. Nicole's designs were admired by everyone, just as you once predicted. Nicole crouched down and placed a bouquet of white daisies in front of the stone. Teacher Nicole, I've been working hard to become the kind of designer you hoped I would be. I hope you can be proud of me. A gentle breeze stirred, and the oak's leaves rustled softly, as if it were Mary's reply. On the way back, Nicole suddenly said, I've been thinking about something. What is it? If that woman who pretended to be Ms. Nicole hadn't appeared, you might never have found the blood amber, never created the pursuit, and we might never have met. Her words made me fall into deep thought. Indeed, it was the series of events triggered by that deception that ultimately led to everything now. It feels as if, in the unseen, some force has been orchestrating it all. Perhaps that's the irony of fate, I said softly. Sometimes, the worst beginnings can lead us to the best endings. When I returned home, I received an unexpected package. Upon opening it, I found a delicate little box containing a handmade ring. Though simple, the craftsmanship had improved greatly compared to the pieces I had seen before. There was a note attached. Mr. George, thank you for your kindness and understanding a year ago, which gave me the courage to start over. Now I have found a job at a small jewelry shop, and my life is gradually getting back on track. This ring represents my gratitude, and I wish you happiness and well-being on your new path. Luna, I handed the ring to Nicole. After examining it carefully, she remarked, her skills have improved a lot. She truly is talent. Some mistakes in life shouldn't become permanent scars, I sighed. Everyone deserves a second chance. That night, we sat in the studio, discussing ideas for the next series. Nicole suddenly proposed a bold idea. I was thinking, maybe we could try connecting the different stages of our work to create a complete narrative. From eternity to quest, then to rebirth, and intertwined, they're actually different phases in a person's life journey. You mean? A complete story about loss, searching, rebirth, and integration, she explained excitedly, ultimately asking what is the most precious treasure in life. Love. I finished her sentence, no matter what form it takes. Nicole nodded, her eyes sparkling with creative fire. We could call it the forms of love, an unprecedented artistic exploration. Sounds like a long-term, ambitious project. We have time, she smiled, holding my hand. We have so much time. In that moment, I felt a powerful surge of creative inspiration, just like when I first began my artistic career years ago, filled with passion and possibility. But this time, I was not facing the blank canvas alone. 2 years later, the Forms of Love series was exhibited simultaneously in the world's 5 greatest art museums, causing an unprecedented sensation. Critics called it a milestone in contemporary art history, blending painting, sculpture, jewelry design, and other art forms to create an entirely new artistic language. The final piece of the exhibition was titled Eternal Ring, a massive circular canvas depicting every form of love in life, familial, platonic, romantic, and the love for art itself. The edge of the canvas was inlaid with gemstones of various sizes, and under certain lighting, these gems would cast light onto specific parts of the canvas, revealing another hidden layer of patterns. The centerpiece of this work is a massive blood amber. Through intricate optical design, the light it projects perfectly outlines two embracing figures. One is Mary, the other is Nicole, symbolizing the intersection of past and present, the fusion of memory and rebirth. On the closing day of the exhibition, in front of the eternal ring, I knelt on one knee and proposed to Nicole. The ring was crafted from the very blood amber Mary had once prepared for me, designed by my own hand and fashioned by the finest jeweler. This ring carries the memories of the past and the hopes for the future, I whispered softly. Nicole, will you be the eternal ring in my life? Her tears sparkled under the spotlight. I will. Amidst the cheers, I remembered what Mary once said. Love does not disappear. It merely changes its form. Yes, love does not disappear. It exists in memories, in art, in every rebirth and new beginning. It traverses time and crosses space, like that blood amber which, after millions of years, still shines, forever retaining the original warmth and brilliance of life. This is the answer I have been searching for all along. Between loss and gain, between seeking and rebirth, love remains constant, only appearing in different forms along the journey of life. And all we need to do is bravely accept this gift, no matter how it comes to us. On the day of the wedding, the sky was a clear, washed blue. Beneath the ancient oak tree that had watched over Mary, we exchanged our vows. A gentle breeze stirred, making the leaves whisper as if blessings were drifting in from another world. No matter when or where, Nicole said softly, we'll always remember that it was she who brought us together. Yes, I squeezed her hand, and we will always cherish this gift. In the brilliant sunlight, the blood amber ring gleamed, radiant as life itself, enduring the passage of time, yet still shining bright.